We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item will be roll call. Mr. Brown? Here. Mr. Buckley?
Amy.
Here. Mr. Fritz? Present. Mr. Griffin?
Amy, can you hear me?
Mr. Meehan? Here. Mr. Nail? Here. And numerous.
Will there be an opportunity to control the presenting portion tonight, or will we be just going off paper copies?
You'll have the opportunity to control it. You need to.
Next item will be a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
we've been talking about the 16th Street property for a number of weeks. Could we add that to the unfinished business line item here?
It would have to be a closed session. And if we're not discussing the contract, we just discussion.
Well, I think the statute allows us to do it in closed session. Do we have to have it in closed session? And I don't think we have to have it
It
in closed
doesn't
session.
have to be, and we can add it if the rest of the board so approves.
I'd like to see that added.
And that will be item B under unfinished business.
So move the agenda be approved as.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. From the previous meeting's minutes, are there any additions or corrections? If not, they will stand approved as presented. There were no public comments or questions sent in, so we will continue on with our property and casualty insurance presentation. And I believe there was only one bid from Mike Keith. And I don't know if they have anybody available.
Yes, I'm here on Zoom. Disclosure.
Let's see, did he give you one? Yeah. I didn't. No. Mr. Butler needs a copy here. Thank you. Do you want to walk us through your proposal?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you all for giving us an opportunity to present again. It's a little unorthodox. I promise I'm not in a movie theater. I'm sitting in a car and I've got two other meetings after this one, so I appreciate you moving me up on the agenda this evening. So we are bringing you renewal terms from your current carrier, the carrier you've been with for the last 3 years. That is called Provident. It also is also known by Fire Plus. There were not a tremendous amount of changes between last year and this year, but pricing did go up because of claims experience. And I would rather not get into that tonight. We can get into that in a more detailed session about which specific claims, but we've had some auto-related claims that I think if you all would entertain higher comp and collision deductibles, we may be able to get you some pricing relief. I know we looked at that last year or the year before, and there just really wasn't enough of a savings. But I think given the renewal numbers, I think maybe we can go back to the insurance company and try to leverage based on the frequency of claims. And not that it's astronomical, but you guys have had some frequency with the auto claims, that maybe we can go back to them and leverage you all taking more on the comp and collision side, and for them to offer a greater discount for taking on that additional exposure. I don't have those options tonight, but if we're successful winning the renewal terms, I'd be happy to sit down with Eric and Roy and Jamie or the entire board and discuss your options. And the good thing about your PNC offer is that we can make changes to building values, liability limits. Really, the only thing that we can't change is whether you take terrorism. That's the only thing that's really set in stone. You have to choose terrorism at each renewal date. So I don't know if you all want us to go through this proposal in great detail. I'm happy to do that. How would you like for me to proceed?
Since there's only one proposal, I believe we could let you get with Jamie and Eric and go over those suggestions you had.
Okay, so what we'll need is, if there are no other proposals and you all are prepared to make a decision this evening, then I would submit this proposal for your approval for your January 1st, 2021 property and casualty renewal, with the understanding that we're going to look at deductible options that might save you some premium after renewal.
Do you have a question?
I did. What total premium for 2021 is $129,774. Can you refresh our memory what the premium was last year? 129.
Bear with me here. I've got the expiring for the package. I don't have the expiring for the cyber, but I think that has stayed about the same. Last year's package renewal was $105,869 plus $2,000 roughly for the cyber, plus $623. I think that's what we put in here for the cyber.
So this equates to about 18% increase.
That's right. And we have been negotiating behind the scenes, I assure you. This negotiation started a couple months ago, trying to whittle away at the increase in cost. But like I said a moment ago, due to some of the claims activity over the last couple years, this is where the insurance company felt they needed to be on pricing. I wish it was less. It would make my job much easier. But unfortunately, this is the position that we're in. We did bring, last year when you all bid this, we did bring alternate terms from another carrier. The pricing would be better, but they couldn't meet the bid specs. We submitted to them again this year, knowing they couldn't meet the bid specs, but just not knowing what you all were going to receive tonight. But they did not quote. They did not have time to turn a proposal.
Are there any other questions for him?
I'm just curious as to why I'm looking at the premium summary at 126, 811, and then on the cover sheet, it says 129.
There's $2,000 additional for cyber. You guys have a standalone cyber policy, and then you have a standalone crime policy. The cyber is with Beasley, and the crime is with Zurich. They all come due at the same time, so that's why we put the premiums the way we did on the bid sheet.
Thank you.
Is there interest in approving this tonight? Would you rather have them review it, see what they can do on the premium and bring it back to our next meeting?
He's indicated some changes in the deductible. Where exactly on what page could I find what you're referring to?
We don't have any options tonight, but if you want to look at the deductibles, you'll need to go into the Provident proposal and flip near the back.
What page is that?
Let me find it here.
Page 2 of the Provident. All right,
So,
it's about 5 pages
good.
back.
Go to page 10 of 11 on your proposal. And that's the summary sheet of the coverages that are included. And then if you start flipping to the next few pages, those are not numbered, but those show the breakdown of each vehicle. Starting with the 2013 Ford E50 ALS. And that has a 500 comp and 500 collision. Are you following with me there?
I don't.
It's kind of hard to read.
Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at that page 10 of 11, and then I flip it over and I don't see where the deductible
Okay,
is.
so from page 10 of 11, go to the next page. And that should say Allied World Specialty Insurance Company at the top. And you've got policy total of $45,445. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go to the very next page. And then about a third of the way down, you should see vehicles. And it'll show vehicle number 1, ambulance service, 2013 Ford E450. Do you see that one?
Yes.
Okay, then skip down just a little bit further and you'll see comprehensive and collision, the 500 comp and the 1,000 collision. And you can see what those deductibles are costing you.
So if we double the deductible, would we lower the cost of premium significantly?
I think there are several $1,000s that we can save, but I don't know exactly what those numbers are yet. I'd have to go back and work on those. I could potentially have them for your next meeting in 2 weeks. But I don't think it's going to be 10,000. It's not going to be 10,000. I mean, we can save several thousand. And I think that will accomplish two things. One, it will save a little bit of premium, but two, it will help us protect the loss ratio a little bit more so that as we go toward the future, we can try and negotiate for more stable pricing. Industry-wide, what we've been seeing in the PNC industry, industry-wide, 5 to 7%, even on clean accounts. So the fact that you guys have an 18% increase, that's not what we wanted, not what we tried to negotiate for you. But you would have had at least 5, 7, 10%, even with clean, with no claims. But we've had some claims. And again, I'm happy to discuss some of those with you guys at a later date.
Mr. Chairman, I think most policies, insurance policies, the common thing is to increase deductible in order to save premium. So that would be a logical next step. I would be inclined to accept the proposal as suggested with Eric input, because he's going to know in the back of his mind the claims that were paid and, you know, how many is going to fall out of that 2,000 deductible as opposed to the 1,000 deductible, et cetera, and let the three minds get together and come up with a final package. That'd be my take on it.
So is that, did you make a motion to accept the proposal?
Yeah, I probably ought to do that a little bit more formal, I guess. Yes, I would so move that we accept the proposal of Mike Heath Insurance based at 103 West Franklin in Clinton, Missouri, with the subject changes of increasing the deductibles as recommended by the chief and the CFO. And would you want to be a part of that?
Second.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you all. We appreciate your business and placing your continued trust in our firm to take care of your insurance needs. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Christian.
We'll move on to banking services presentation. We've got a proposal from Wood & Houston Bank that was received at 2:34, and I believe the deadline was 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Central Bank.
Mr. Chairman. We will pass those out.
I guess they're not eligible since they're past the deadline.
That's it, man. Okay.
There's one here from US Bank.
Nick, that's the letter saying they didn't bid it.
So it doesn't apply.
No.
So is there someone from Central Bank, I believe?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Erica.
Erica.
Do you want to address your proposal?
Sure, it's very similar to where you all are at currently. We have the rate at Fed funds plus 0.05 basis points, just like you are today, with the minimum balance in your accounts at 800,000. And that's just exactly what you all had previously. We did have some additional information in there that I would love to sit down and discuss. I know you all already use our multi-card, but we have several other options that I think could be beneficial to the district to save you some time, maybe make you some money, and also some other security features that are new to the bank. Again, that I think would be beneficial just to discuss.
Are there any questions?
Now, is this the only bid we have?
Yes.
The other
Would Houston,
two, yeah.
yeah, Would Houston sent one, but it was after the time.
Who was the other person sitting?
Would Houston Bank sent a proposal, but it was after the 2 o'clock deadline when it was received.
Mr. Chairman, you ready for a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we remain our banking services at Central Bank. Accept this proposal as given.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes. Erica, have you and Jamie communicated in regards to the proposal? Erica, you're indicating that it's basically the same arrangement that we had before, same rates, same services, et cetera. So Jamie, are you concurring with all of that?
We can't hear you, Jamie.
So I haven't seen the proposals. Since it was sealed bid, I haven't went through anything.
Right.
I was just asking whether or not you've had some communications with Erica or with Central Bank to kind of have a generality of a comfort factor with a potential proposal.
No, it was sealed bid, so we can't do any of that. I can answer questions, but that's about it.
Is there any further discussion? There's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of approving Central Bank for banking services, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Erica.
And we will move on to the health insurance presentation. Katie. There's one bid here from Legacy Advisors Group.
lot to be absorbing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a recommendation. A lot of data here on our health insurance. And as far as a proposed schedule to massage this information, figure out what we're going to do, I talked with Ms. Lubring about what's going on next week. The 16th, I believe, our union is meeting with attorneys. They'll have some information for us, and then I think the board would be prudent to have a special meeting the 17th or 18th, Thursday or Friday, to make a decision on this item as well as maybe a union item as well. Am I correct in that, Ms. Woodward? That might be a schedule that would be workable to start putting this thing together.
Yeah, that should be fine if that works for you all.
Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to address their proposal at this time?
You know, we certainly would. This is Brendan with Insurance and Benefits Group. How are you guys doing this evening?
Brendan.
I know there's a lot of us on here, so I don't really want to go into too much detail this evening. You have a lot of information in front of you, and like you said, unlike the previous bid you had with Property and Casualty, you'll probably have to take a look at these figures and kind of decide what the district wants to do from a plan design standpoint, and we can kind of help you guys out with that. But the one thing I'll say is the most competitive companies that came in to bid were United Healthcare and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City. As you'll see on our proposal sheet that looks something like this, it looks like a spreadsheet in front of you. Now, per the bid specs, we did go ahead and quote the plan designs that would be offered by each respective company that most similarly mirror the plan designs that you have in place with Trustmark. And so my recommendation is not necessarily included in this spreadsheet because I think we would want a little more time to take a look and decide that adding a different benefit structure might behoove the district from both a loss claims perspective, but also from a premium standpoint. But the brass tacks of it is if you took your Trustmark, which you guys have currently, and you offer two plans, a $0 deductible and a $2,800 deductible HSA plan. United Healthcare and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City will have similar options that you'll see on there. However, they'll offer a $500 deductible. And as you look down the line, there are differences in coverage, some slight, some more noticeable. But the closest that they would be able to get to your renewal, the total monies that the district pays for medical insurance would be about 30%. So if you stayed with a very similar benefit as to what you have right now with United Healthcare or Blue Cross and Blue Shield, you're going to be looking at about 30%. Now, again, from this point and until the end of next week, we'll want to get with Jamie or get with you guys as a board and decide, what, number one, what is your employer contribution going to stay the same regardless of plan design? I think there's some things that could be considered in terms of incentivizing employees who want a more a plan that's higher in richness that will also help you with your claims ratio. So the reason we're probably all here is because, as you guys know, there was an 89% increase that was due to approximately 320% loss ratio. And so the companies that we have at the table are willing to get aggressive, but we may have to make some plan design changes and kind of talk about that to figure out a happy medium of keeping a similar benefit as to what you have now, and to finding something that's affordable. So that's all I wanted to say, but there's a lot of info in front of you, and I think it might be best on a different forum to discuss with me and my team how best to structure the benefits going forward. So I appreciate you guys and your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Would anyone else like to address their proposal?
Hey, good evening. This is Craig Wagner from PCAD Companies. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hey, I really appreciate the time. Jamie's been great in getting data. I was able to provide a proposal, unfortunately, just on the ancillary business as a whole. Take a look at that on my proposal. And the reason being is, why do we get a health insurance quote? It seems to be a processing issue. We subscribe to the formula for easy applications. The system, I believe, based out of Cincinnati. And unfortunately, the way the process works is when the first one in has full rights to that ownership. There was a way to get the ownership moved through Jamie back to operation in Cincinnati through Easy Apps to, I believe it was IBG. And unfortunately, we just kind of ran out of time. And I think it was just more or less carriers were coming back asking for more and more questions. So we simply ran out of time to get the applications. And I believe that would have been Monday. And that's no fault of anybody here on the call. It is just simply a processing error. So when you look at our proposals from PCAD, I apologize wholeheartedly. We were not able to get the health insurance programs. Rest assured, if we did have that data, we certainly would be in the game on the medical benefits as a whole, and providing services, which we provided in the packets that everybody has, the one-stop shop with PCAD Companies. I did look at a number of different ancillary carriers for the life, the voluntary life, the dental, and the vision. What I felt probably the most competitive option, actually the most competitive option, and the plan design that mirrors very, very close to what you currently have. It's through a program called Equitable, and roughly annual savings are around $7,337. So, medical obviously might not be in play, but unfortunately from our standpoint, because of the processing with the applications, which by the way, all the carriers did require, they weren't willing to use your claims data. But unfortunately, since we were not able to get that, I could not get any of the carriers to provide a bid on our behalf. So they went out, didn't want to stop and let you know that we did go to the market for the ancillary. We did have a number of options, but we think Equitable might be the one option that's going to save you some money from the ancillary side. I do appreciate your time. Would love to present if there's an opportunity. Thank you. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Thanks. Does anyone else want to address their proposal? If not, we will table the health insurance and let Jamie review it and come back with a recommendation for it.
Hey, Nick, I think, Jeannie, did you want to talk? She was on here. Oh, I guess, go ahead.
Does she want to address?
Oh, she's having technical difficulties. She said she doesn't have any audio, so.
We will table that till the next meeting. We'll move on to officers' report, CFO report.
Ryan, can you give me control? Or how do I do that? Share my screen. Here we go. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Zoom in a little bit for you. Okay, so I noticed a big error when I started looking at this board packet. I forgot to carry forward this 188, 167 on this insurance proceeds from 2019. So everything else is accurate. It's just I forgot to carry forward that number from last year on this report. So it just makes everything look even a higher percentage increase. So total operating revenue, you can see we're already at the end of October, 100% of what we budgeted. Most of that is due to the CARES funds we received.
Jamie, this is Jeannie. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, I'm interrupting now though, aren't I? I can wait.
Nick, what do you want to do?
She can go ahead and address her proposal since she's available now.
Okay, go ahead, Jeannie. I will stop sharing.
Okay, guys, I am so very sorry. I apologize. I was there through the whole meeting, and when it got to be my turn. So anyway, okay. Thank you very much for letting me jump in here. There's only a couple things and highlights that I wanted to hit. One of the first ones, the bid intro letter, the letter that's in the front of your packet. I was hoping you all would review that because I think it's important to know I do have a really good offering in United Healthcare, but our agency, Mike Keith Insurance, represents all of the carriers in the state of Missouri, including Blue Cross and Blue Shield. One of the things that Blue Cross has done to kind of keep down the rabble is to offer a quote to only one agency initially, and whoever, it's first come, first served. So, of course, IBG got the Blue Cross and Blue Shield quote, and we don't have that. That being said, if you all make a choice and select a broker, we can represent any carrier. I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out that we are the endorsed employee benefits broker for the Missouri Ambulance Association, and we're very pleased with that endorsement. We've worked with a lot of ambulance districts, including yours, over the years. Our team has grown in the last 6 years, probably tripled in size as far as benefits are concerned, and we have some real strength in that area. One of the other things that I want the board to note is our wellness strategy. I'm not going to dive in and explain all that to you now, but we have a real strong presence as far as a wellness program is concerned, and also our agency will contribute $3,000 to the Pettis County Ambulance District to build and enhance that wellness fund, no matter which carrier you select, whether that's Blue Cross or whether that's United Healthcare. Last but not least, I, like Brendan, have put in the specs according to your current plans. I've also added a dual option that I really want to drill down and get into the details on the next time that we hopefully will get to meet. That option is going to increase your benefits by about 10% overall versus the 32% that they're coming in at this point. I'm, now kind of stumbling and bumbling here because of my situation with the audio, so I'm going to stop talking. And if you all have any questions, I'm happy to to entertain those answers. Mike Keith Insurance appreciates your time.
Are there any questions for her?
Thank you, Jeannie.
Sorry.
Thank you for
Thanks, Jeannie.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
back to you, Jamie.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again here. Okay. So as I was saying on the budget performance, we are at the end of October, 103% of our budget for revenue. And that is mostly due to our CARES Act funds and the stimulus funds, as well as the GEMT revenue. Expenses, we're at 82.5%. Sorry, now I'm stumbling. 82.56% in total. At the end of October, we should be about 83%. So we're right on target there. Anybody have any questions on that? That is, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you what page you're on. That is on page 5 of your board packet. Okay, page 6, we'll start the detail of the budget performance. And again, that 188,000 wasn't carried forward, so I added that, fixed that, and I'll email this all out to you guys. But that's the only change I found. So as far as that goes, detail-wise, I mean, like I said, we're right on target as far as expenses so far, even with increased expenses due to COVID leave, due to additional PPE that we needed this year for COVID. Anybody have any questions on any of those expenses? We'll move on to page 10, which is the balance sheet. It's just October of 20 versus October of 19. And you can see the increase in cash there of 1.3 million year over year. Any questions on any of that? Page, yes.
What is the over budget in communications equipment?
Where are you at? What page are you on? I'm sorry.
Page 10, communications equipment?
Page 10 isn't the budget.
Okay.
That's just a change. That's just a change in communications equipment from October of this year to October of last year. And that's due to the radios we purchased. We upgraded our radio system this year. Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay, page 12 is the profit and loss previous year versus this year comparison. So as you can see there, our service fees are still down. That's, you know, due to a lot of things, change in payer mix, change in the amount of transports. And remember, we're 2-3 months behind on payment. So we're just seeing that decrease we had back in April and May come through in our patient revenues. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Page 13 is our bank balances. The top section there is December 3rd versus November 19th, the changes. And then I also did the next section down, which was December 3rd, 20 versus December 3rd, 2019. So you could see the changes year over year at that time. So we're up about 995,000 as of December 3rd. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Page 14 is our cash reserve analysis, down about a week versus last board meeting. Page 15 is the check register. Anybody have any questions on any of those transactions? Okay. Page 16 through 18 is the credit card statement for last month. Anybody have any questions on those charges? Not, that takes us to page 19, which is the current bills. And then in pages 20 through 22 gives the details of those. Anybody have any questions on any of the bills? If not, that is the end of my report. I did have a sticky note here actually with a couple other items. So last year we did the GEMT and that was due by the end of the year. This year it has been pushed off until January. So we'll be doing that here in the next 6 weeks or so, get that done for the GEMT reimbursement. And then also the cost reporting that CMS is requiring of all ambulance districts. They put out a notice the other day that they pushed that back another year. So we won't have to do that at least until 2022 at this point. That is the end of my report.
Are there any other questions for Jamie?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see if we can iron out if we're going to meet in an extra session to complete the budgetary process. We've got this one regular meeting remaining this year, and I just don't see us capable of doing what we need to do in just that meeting alone. So
I think we will wait until Jamie, to be sure Jamie's got the material put together for the.
right, and I think that I discussed that with her,
Right.
And I think she's looking at the 17th or 18th in advance of the next meeting as well. So,
Do you think you'll have that ready by then?
I mean, I haven't seen the amount of information you guys have there in front of you,
Exactly.
but you know, we're going to have it to get the budget done one way or another. So.
What day is that on? 17th.
You said
Thursday or Friday.
Thursday or Friday.
And the reason I chose that is that the 16th is probably the final meeting of the union where we'll have something there to plug into the budget as well, for us to massage number-wise to figure out the budget for 2021. And I think that we can have a pretty good summary of where we need to be and be comfortable in our decisions that with that extra time.
So are you comfortable with scheduling a meeting for the 17th?
Yes.
Chairman, I
At
would
this
prefer
point.
we stay on schedule, and if we need to, we can, if absolutely necessary, maybe the final week of the month.
Well, we need to start thinking about, Mr. Chairman, start thinking about schedules for people's Christmas. Our next scheduled meeting is the 22nd of December. It's 2 days before Christmas Eve. I don't know if in one meeting we're prepared as a board to decide on health insurance, the union, and the other factors that become integral parts of our decision-making to formulate the 2021 budget. And Ms. Lubrin needs guidance from us. So.
I believe he's right. I think we need to have another meeting. In my opinion.
Does the 17th work for everyone?
I'm not available either one of those substitute dates.
Your next available time would be the 20th.
Yeah, personally, I think we just take the schedule the 22nd, and then for some reason that we can't get everything done, we call an extra meeting for the 29th, which retains that Tuesday evening meeting schedule.
Since Mr. Meehan's not available, we will stick to that regular meeting date. Something absolutely necessary to happen, we'll address that between now and then.
So hopefully she will have the insurance information and also will have whatever the union is input by the 22nd. Now, excuse me, for that, the insurance, the union will have certain things that they're requesting for next year's budget. They're presented to us on the 22nd, Mr. Fritz?
No, that's being presented on the 16th. The board's no part of that. The administrator and Jamie are dealing with that, so.
Okay, so we have no presentation from the union this month? Let's just say we take an insurance policy on the 22nd, and the board, the union hasn't put any input to it. It sort of puts the cart before the horse. Am I backwards on? Figure me out.
I suspect on the 16th, correct me, Eric, tell me what's going to happen on the 16th, Eric, with the union.
I'm hoping to finalize all the non-monetary parts of that contract that day. But I think that is a valid point that they have a right of input. I'm not sure what time frame is involved in that, but yeah, that could delay things.
As I see it, this insurance is probably going to be a negotiation this year. With the increase that we have,
I would imagine, yeah.
it's going to, I would imagine,
Yeah.
there's going to be a big discussion about that as to whether or not we can do that or not.
Like I said, legally, it has to be presented to them ultimately it's the board's decision, of course, with stuff like that, but it does have to be presented to them prior to the board approving it, which we're meeting with them the 16th, next Wednesday.
So we'll have some idea of something.
Yes.
For the 22nd meeting.
Yes.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes me a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah, they will have time to look at what's presented here tonight at the very least.
I would take a motion to approve payment of outstanding bills.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Chief's report.
So, following Jamie's on page 23, it's a little bit small this time. I apologize. That right column there is my digital chicken scratch. That's irrelevant. But as you can see for November, total call volume was at 684. Last year, our total call volume was at 6,830, and we're at 7,165 right now. So not a whole lot ahead, but a little bit ahead. November was a very busy month, and October was a record month. However, from April through November, which was so far the beginning of COVID and the first spike we've had, which we're expecting another one quite soon here. What I would call the bulk of those COVID dates, April through November, overall we were down 2.2% on our transports. That's not call volume. I'm talking about just billable calls. We were down 2.2%, which is the first time in my career I've ever seen call volume go down. So that's just to give you an idea of the impact COVID's had on our revenue, as Jamie was just talking about a moment ago. Transfers were up in October and September. Transfers are down right now. Transfers are way down right now because of the availability of hospital beds pretty much anywhere. ICU beds are few and far between throughout the state. So I anticipate this month being very, very impactful as far as what we see as a total number of transfers. We'll still have, keep in mind, these transfers also include transfers back to skilled nursing facilities and some specialty resource centers like psychiatric care. But it's my understanding that even those are pretty hard to find right now. So I anticipate our transfers will be down considerably in December. 911 calls remain pretty well steady at 353 for Pettis and a total of 54 down in Windsor. So Windsor stayed pretty even keeled across this whole thing, this whole COVID thing. We are at 1,074 right now for a year-to-date total, and we were at 1,014 last year at the same time, the end of November. So up a little bit, not as much as I anticipated would have been without COVID, but not a huge dent in it, not as big as we saw in Sedalia anyways. So any questions on those numbers? My written report I handed out earlier tonight. It has been an incredibly busy week around here. We've had a couple of key people out with COVID. So I got you one tonight with just a couple little items on it. The first one is some good news. Hallelujah. The generator update, and I'm gonna hand that off to Ryan if he's able to go ahead and give a quick update on where exactly we're at as far as the nuts and bolts and pipes.
Gas lines are in. The part they were waiting on for this long time, given them 2 weeks ago, we were installed on Monday. So the install of gas lines is complete. They contacted Liberty, who's working short-handed right now, so it's going to be next week before they'll be able to get out there and do what they need to do to build it. So they had an increased pressure test of current equipment and see if it needs to be replaced. So once they make that evaluation, we'll be able to get the insurance people up here. They have about 4 hours of work and then project's done. So,
And how long did you say once the generator people are here? You say a day or two?
About 4 hours.
4 hours, okay, to get it turned on. So they also, in their inspection, did find the fifth, what I call the east bay over there, the kind of unfinished one where a lot of our excess storage is. They found a flexible pipe to the overhead heater, which is not up to standard because of vibrations. It can cause some issues. So they went ahead and we approved them to go ahead and replace that with a solid pipe. So it'll be a small increase in the overall fee. So they've done a very thorough job looking everything over, making sure we have the right valves. Essentially, the way I understand it is just like what Ryan said. It's just basically they have to test it and make sure everything works, and then we'll be good to go.
So check down pressure, make sure no functions occur.
Yeah.
Slowly down let Liberty get you.
So, yeah, very soon, very soon. It's been a long road, a long year. Vehicles, someone had asked me about overall mileages, so I do have a total list. This is as of the end of November, except for that very first unit, which is just prior to this meeting. We were having some shoreline issues, so I wasn't able to get a mileage on it until just before we came over here. So you can see which units we've got that are aging up there, units 1, 2, 6. And of course, 8 and 9 are getting up there a ways in mileage. Those are 8 and 9 are both of our transit units down that are normally down in Windsor. 9 is still being repaired at the shop. So we've got another unit down there taking its place. And the rest of them are where they're at. Just a quick update. Danielle Lauder is the new director of the 911 Joint Communications Commission, or Joint Communications Center. And she would like to address the board and provide an update to the board, this board, as soon as her budget is finalized. I anticipate that being before our next meeting. So if that's possible, she'd like to come in and kind of talk to you guys about what's going on down there. She's really taken a bull by the horns and done a great job so far. There are some Missouri Ethics Commission information as far as if you're a candidate next April over there on the counter. Feel free to take whatever you want. There's pamphlets and booklets and whatnot, or the easiest way is to just go to NEC's website. So that's all Missouri Election Commission stuff. Who has to do financial disclosure statements? Since our budget is over $1 million, all board members do have to do a personal financial disclosure. And it's super fast and easy online. They've kind of updated their site, so it's got a little less cumbersome over the years, but it's really easy to get in there and do that. That is all I have on my report this week.
Any questions?
I do have a question. Yes, I noticed today, 3 of the ambulances out there at the repair shop. At one.
We've got, let's see. One of them is out there that just had some manifold work. I just had it up here and now it went away. Mostly scheduled maintenance. We don't have anything major going on. Yeah, it's all scheduled maintenance, so.
I was hoping that's what you said.
Yes. Yeah, it's always good. The major thing right now is the repair of Unit 9 at the body shop. So, nothing too frightening going out there. We did have one that was leaking some antifreeze. It wasn't due to any kind of strike or anything like that. Just put it out there.
Now, the ambulance we got coming in, it's replacing one. Is that what the one replacing?
I believe that's the plan is for it to replace, it's either 1 or 6.
6 probably.
One is one of the units that has a new part of the drive chain has been replaced on 1 and 2, transmissions and motors and stuff, where 6 hasn't had anything like that. So I would imagine 6 would probably be our first choice. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Chief, on number 9 there, am I to understand that,
Number 9, where at?
yeah, on your report, I'm sorry, item number 9 on your report, I guess, or number 3. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, okay.
Okay.
So it's 911, okay. Joint Communication Plan.
Yes.
That commission creates a budget and then they have to present it to the participating groups, and then that has to be approved, is that correct?
Correct. We,
Okay.
the board member, the board members, by virtue of their position, which I'm one of them, look at it and make a proposed budget. That budget has to be sorted out and down into the nitty gritty. That's what Debbie Allen and her team's doing now. And then she presents that to the county commission, who ultimately approves that. Okay. So it has to go through us and then the county commission. It's already went through us. We're just at the commission for it.
Well, but this board has to approve that budget also, the way I originally understood.
This is, she's talking about her entire operating budget. We won't have to approve that budget. The only thing this board will have to approve is the Pettis County Ambulance District Board will only have to approve the money that we pay them annually for their service, which is gone up by it used to be.
I'm sorry, Chief, but I don't remember it that way. The way I remember reading that original agreement was that any budget would have to come back to be approved by the participating groups.
I believe that's correct.
So
I would have to look at it. It's my understanding that would be the representatives of those groups, which would be.
That's not the way but
Okay.
we don't need to dwell on it tonight, but I'm just saying that if that is genuinely the case, then they probably need to have that budget to us in our board packet next week, at the next meetings.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Eric.
Sure.
I guess Dr. Guess is not available.
I contacted him earlier and I haven't heard anything else.
So we'll move on to unfinished business. Renewal or change of provider online education.
This is where COVID strikes again. Justin had been looking into some software upgrades. Our current JV learning software is archaic at best. It doesn't do much for us. It basically allows us to enter some information, but it doesn't really provide what we need as far as educational materials. Justin had been shopping around and found Target Solutions Learning, which is, I think everybody got a copy of this tonight. It's a much more robust program, and the biggest difference is it allows for virtual learning. I can't tell you how many of our classes have been canceled in the last 9 months, which affects our staff's ability to relicense. So he went out and shopped around, found what he could find. The reason this is coming to the board tonight instead of just a budget item for next year is for this this particular software, there's a $1,500 setup fee that they will waive if it is approved prior to, I believe it's the 31st. Let me verify that. I've got some notes here, but I apologize. Justin is out sick or can't.
So I mean, that's what you got down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the 31st.
It's the 31st. Yeah, it's on those that printout.
So the $1,500 setup fee would be waived if we're able to get it signed before then. Like I said, the virtual learning is probably the biggest part of it. Not only that, but just the user interface for Justin and all the things that he enters. Essentially what JB Learning has and what we use now is nothing more than an Excel spreadsheet. This actually allows us to do a lot more tracking of the continuing education for all of our staff, their relicensure requirements. Right now, you have to have your state license and a whole stack of other cards that are kept. Some of them are 3 years, some of them are 5 years, some of them are annual, and we don't really have a good way to track them. We've got them tracked in about 3 different places right now, from our scheduling software, which is also needing an upgrade, to literally a spreadsheet. It's just kind of, it's scattered all over the place. So being able to keep track of that will keep us in line with not only providing what we provide to our staff in the way of education, but being able to track and make sure all their driver's license, all of their professional certifications, their state license and certifications, all of that will go on a file right along with all of this virtual learning that is not available to us now in JV. So I wish I had Justin here to sell it to you, but unfortunately, he is not able to do that right now. So it has to be done by the 31st. If you want to table it, we put it out there tonight. I leave that to the board's discretion.
Is there any questions?
Prior cost, Jamie, you had told me what that was, and I can't find your numbers. The JV Learning cost how much?
It was about 3,500. It was 3496.50.
Okay. That's really all the information I have on it tonight, gentlemen.
So we're basically talking double price, but an increase in the different product that's being available to us.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's far and away better than what we're using.
Mr. Chairman, I know we got a busy schedule for the 22nd. And I, for one, would like to take a little bit better look at this. I'd just like to get together with Jamie and find out, Jamie, the educator. Justin, get together with him and find out a little bit more about it. It's steep price, but it may be necessary.
So are we anticipating us to be on online training all next year?
No, this allows for it. This is not exclusively that.
But
this basically.
If I understood you right, that's the main.
That's one of the biggest selling points to it, yeah. And the fact that it manages our entire education programs. It's a one-stop solution.
And then I also wanted to know how we came up with 76, needing 76 quantity. Is that the anticipated number of students?
I believe so. I think they usually sell them in packets. I would have to ask Justin on that one as well.
That's a pretty specific number.
Yeah, I know JB and a lot of the distributive education and educational software companies will sell the user packages in bulk and numbers of 6, 8, 10, 12. So you don't have to call them every single time, and it allows you to add and remove users as they kind of go from the business. So.
But we're charged for each one of those. So if it was 50, it'd be less than 6,700.
Possibly.
So it looks, that's got the price $89.10 per quantity or for each one.
Yeah, and remember, we also train our part-time staff, so that's why. And I don't know about with this one, but I know with JB Learning, it was an annual license. So once it was issued to somebody, it's there. So if they leave, we still paid for it for a year. And if we get a new employee, we have to pay for a new one. I don't know if that's how it is on this one, but that's how it was with the other one.
Chief, is this I see the main piece here is this management platform. Is that for our in-house training and continuing ed, or is that EMT classes?
It's everything.
It
Mainly
includes-
primarily for the in-house training and all the education we provide,
Okay.
primarily.
But for an EMT class, that would also
It
be
will
part
also
of this
serve.
management system too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, everyone's comfortable with that. We'll table this till the next meeting and everybody can ask questions about the proposal so they feel more comfortable about it. We'll move on to the 16th Street property.
Mr. Chairman, the board was kind enough to add that on there, and I asked that just simply because we've been discussing this over a number of meetings. And we've owned that property and for a number of years, and we've actually decided to try to sell it for over a year now. We published an RFP soliciting the assistance of a realtor. We've heard opinions of the estimated value, and we've had the property professionally appraised. And I think we understand the need for us to put the property back on the tax roll so that all Pettis County Ambulance District residents would benefit from that tax base. So with that being said, I would make a motion that we immediately list the property with RE/MAX of Sedalia at $800,000 for 1 year, offer a 6% commission, and authorize the chairman and the secretary to execute all documents necessary.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes. New business. Windsor District contract.
If I may, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I was the one who asked to have this put on the agenda. And the reason why it was important that we have it on the agenda in December was because if we want to make any modification or changes in that agreement or void it completely, it needs to be done with 1 year advance notice. In the last 5 years, the Pettis County Ambulance District has lost over $1 million over those last 5 years, actually $2 million. And if we keep the current contract that we have for the next 5 years, we'll lose another $500,000 projected revenue from that. The Windsor Ambulance District has a quality board in place. They doubled their tax revenue, and they alone could, I believe, can now support a very high-quality ambulance district on their own. It's time for them to let them regain their independence. So with that, I would so move. Since PCAD has invested $2 million in the Windsor Ambulance District over the last 5 years, and PCAD is now projected to lose another $500,000 over the next 5 years. And since the Windsor Ambulance District now has sufficient revenue to operate their own quality ambulance district, I move that we immediately send by certified mail a notice of termination to the Windsor Ambulance District effective December 31st of 2021.
Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, discussion, please. I don't know if anybody's aware, but this contract automatically renewed on the 5th of December. If you'll read on page 29 of our packet, section 7, effective date, term, and notification of termination, is made that this agreement shall automatically renew for a duration of 1 year annually upon the anniversary of the execution, which is the 5th of December. So, And motion to kind of move.
Let's see here. Page 25, John?
Page 29, it'd be page 6 and 7 of the document. Page 29 in red, be section 7, paragraph A. But halfway down, it talks about the agreement and how it renews. Mr. Chairman, I asked that the motion be dismissed with it's just absolutely ridiculous, that motion.
Hold on, John.
I don't, on section 7, effective date,
Right.
says effective.
It says, without a termination notice or cancellation having been made, this agreement shall automatically renew for a duration of 1 year annually upon the anniversary of the execution date for a period of 4 additional calendar years. That date, ladies and gentlemen, is the 5th of December. The signatures have been redacted, those dates have been redacted for privacy. There's a 10-page on page 7 of 7, and they're on file with the district office. So, you're welcome to look at those documents.
Is December 5th the correct date, Jamie?
Oh, sorry, I'm having trouble with my mute. Yeah, December 5th was the date the contract was signed.
So tonight is past that deadline for a 1 year notice.
No, I don't know whether there's a deadline for it, sir. Effective, what John said is true, that we renewed by default on the 5th of December.
Right.
Okay, today being the 8th of December, what is the problem with, at this particular point in time, giving them a year's notice? I mean, it's been renewed for 1 year. Well, it's actually been renewed for the total of 4 years.
Well, I've got a question.
Yeah.
If we terminate that, are we gonna build a satellite station somewhere down in there? I mean, they're providing us with the satellite station.
And subsidizing.
We did do this for 5 years with no income. I agree with that completely. But now we've got the tax base that they have coming to us. And if we terminate that, we're gonna have to build a station somewhere down in that area.
We're eventually
Am I
gonna have-
wrong about that?
We're eventually gonna have to go one down there anyway, because we're not gonna keep that up forever. It's a completely different district.
No, it's still Pettis County, part of Pettis County.
That much of the city is part of the county,
Yeah, it's small now.
okay?
I agree.
And, along with that, there's, the services we're gonna be providing here in Pettis County over the years, which we don't have a 5-year plan as of yet, but, within the not too distant future, our services are gonna increase up here and also to the south of town and to the east of town, west of town. We should see services increasing there. So at some point in time, we're gonna have to put a substation in. And what we're doing now is we're pushing the goal for it. By, being honest and being good to the people in Windsor, we're giving them a year's notice, which actually probably wouldn't take effect until after the first of the year anyway. By the time we got finished, writing and icing and everything else. That would give them a year to start to put together their purchase of ambulances, their hiring of personnel. During that time period, we also would be looking to procure, build, whatever, some sort of substation, not necessarily, not in Clinton or not in Windsor, but, north of Greenwich somewhere. And again, we have to look at the total data that the chief has as to where a more appropriate area would be as far to have a valid response to the people in Greenwich. The people in Windsor would have their own ambulance service, And again, a mutual aid agreement, which is what we've been doing with them basically, we would probably still have the opportunity to run to Windsor, but not as frequently. Again, I'm not too sure about what the basing of a transport service from Green Valley, how that's going to affect us. Chief, do you have any input on that?
From Green Valley.
Green Valley, the
Golden Valley.
If we were to move out of Windsor and move up further up 65, and they had their own ambulance district down there.
And Windsor had their own ambulance district?
Mm-hmm.
I just got to be honest with the board, I don't think that's feasibly even possible. Their budget right now would not allow for it. They bring in maybe $300,000 a year. I see on the board, Mr. Neiman from the Windsor board is with us. I don't have their financials in front of us. But to buy ambulances, to staff ambulances, to train them, I don't think it's even possible. The vast majority of our calls in that corner of the county, I'll say in the Windsor call area that we're running now, are from Pettis County. So we're going to be running those calls no matter what. If the Windsor Ambulance District was unable to set up said ambulance district, we would have to go back to the counties. And at that point, it's my understanding that, mutual aid agreements are a statutory requirement for all ambulance districts. We'd be running those calls. We'd still be running those calls. We'd still be able to bill for those calls, but we wouldn't get any extra money for them. And there's nobody else down there that can do it, quite frankly. I don't want to say yay or nay to Golden Valley services, but they typically have 2 trucks, sometimes less on them. So at this point in time, we run mutual aid 911 calls all the way into the city of Clinton sometime down there. So I think the feasibility of them being able to cover the Windsor Ambulance District is at the present moment with their current resources down there, not reasonable. I don't think it would happen.
Yes.
Well, it's my understanding there you're doing another tax increase or sales tax or something additional to what they've got. I mean, that was talk of a year ago.
Yeah, Mr. Neiman, are you able to hear us or join into this? Your mic is muted, sir. You're still muted. There you go.
Yes, I'm here. I understand.
Eric,
We did have a tax increase and it was approved by the citizens of Windsor.
Weren't you all gonna consider possibly another sales tax or something in the future?
Well, we have not discussed that because we were depending on Pettis County for the 5-year contract. And it's been enjoyed since we signed the paperwork. And this is a new issue that has come up. We were unaware of this discussion at all prior to attending this meeting.
John, I assume you have some.
Mr. Chairman, Steve Galloway.
What it's going to cost.
Eric, can you hear me?
How do you determine?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Eric,
That's
Steve
Steve
Galloway.
Galloway.
Okay. Yes. I would certainly like to see Mr. Meehan's calculations. It's hard for me to understand how he has such a shortfall for the Windsor Ambulance District. So I'd be interested in seeing how that's calculated. Second thing is that, as David mentioned, we did receive a tax increase, which it's hard to come up with a fair estimation as to how much would go to Pettis County. A lot of it depends on if everybody pays their taxes. But we have the potential of $300,000. And of course, Pettis County gets a large percentage of that, as well as the collection of the fees charged for the service to the patients. And there's no investment in the facility as far as the housing of the staff or the units. So I'm not sure, but anyway, I guess what I want to say is that I see a lot of advantages. And as you mentioned, Golden Valley doesn't look promising as far as servicing Henry County or maybe even Clinton. So somebody's going to be doing the runs at Windsor and our ambulance district with or without the tax base.
Did I hear anything about renegotiation of reimbursement from Windsor? I mean, an increase in reimbursement or renegotiation? Or maybe I'm just dreaming.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I think Mr. Brown had a question for me, and then we had some communication.
Well, you had mentioned Pettis County is going to lose an additional $500,000 over a 5-year period.
That's correct.
How did you determine?
Well, first of all, we've all seen the reports, and I think those reports were shared to some degree with the Windsor Ambulance District, how we have lost about $400,000 per year on the current 5-year contract that is due to expire at the end of this year. The new contract that we have allows for 85% of what they collect. And they're anticipating that, originally proposed, and I think they collected pretty close to that last year, of which they got about $250,000 in the bank, while we're still subsidizing the Windsor Ambulance District. In other words, they have that $250,000, and yet we're spending $400,000 as lost money to fund that district. Going forward, if they do collect $324,000, at 85% of that, that's what we would, according to this contract, we would get. That comes to $275,000. So if it's cost us, if we went in the hole $400,000 a year over the next 5 years, at minus the 275, that's $125,000 a year, and that's where I came up with that $500,000 over the next 5 years. So, and the key thing, and I think I answered the numbers question here, but the key thing is that this gives the Windsor Ambulance District, they've got a quality board down there. They've got reasonable revenue coming in to provide a quality ambulance service. And this gives us adequate time in order for both ambulance districts to reposition themselves to take care of what we're supposed to and let them take care of what they're supposed to. We don't, we currently are not subsidizing any other ambulance district.
Mr. Meehan.
Yes.
Mr. Meehan, how much revenue is generated from fees charged to patients? What is collected? A lot has to do with the collection rate of the district.
Mr. Chairman, in addition to that, again, the question's been asked where Mr. Meehan's coming up with $400,000 in expenses. You have to keep in mind that if we separated this agreement with Windsor, as our chief indicated, we would still be sending ambulances and personnel to those calls from him. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes.
Okay, so we still have to have the
ambulance. That's right.
We still have to have the people. We still have to have the insurance on the people. So I don't get where you're coming up with $400,000 in expenses, because we still have to respond to 911 calls. You don't get that choice, Mr. Meehan, with the mutual aid agreement. That is response by law. We have to send an ambulance.
Mr. Chairman, it seems like a question here is where the $400,000 came from, and that was a part of
Mrs. Luberini's reports that we get when it's broke out to what's our percentages and how much we're winning or making or losing in the Pettis County Ambulance District and what's Windsor Ambulance District. And it's been consistently over this period of time that this current contract's been enforced, that we've lost $400,000. It's cost us, in addition to the revenue that it generates. The net losses have been $400,000. That's where I came up with those figures, Mr. Chair.
And so, Mr. Chairman, the solution to this would be to negate this contract, give up additional revenue, and go deeper into that cost to respond to service calls for ambulance. I just don't get it. We still, Chief, share with us, Chief, you're the go-to guy. If this agreement were, let's just say, disappeared today, and the ambulance calls, 911 calls were coming in from the ambulance district to the sheriff's department, would you send an ambulance down there by law? Would you send an ambulance to respond?
If we have the resources available, yes, we have to have a mutual aid agreement with every adjacent county.
Okay. So that'd be taking resources away from here, out of Sedalia, traveling to Windsor.
Yes.
Okay.
And unless we have crews elsewhere, which we would not. I don't. I've got 4 people down there in 3 shifts, so that's 12 people that staff those 2 trucks right now. I can't just bring them up here. I have no place to put them up here. So I don't know if we got rid of Windsor, we'd be basically probably having to get rid of about 12 full-time employees. Not for nothing. Somebody had asked about the billable calls, and I did some quick math. The transfers that we do get out of Golden Valley and out of Bothwell, because we use that truck to run some Bothwell trucks, come up to currently this year, not counting December, we've got 174 of those. Those are fairly big bill calls because they're $13 a mile call. So a lot of the money that we get from those calls comes under mileage. Another 513 of those are 911 calls, and if you just put them all in one pile and only receive $250 a piece for every one of the calls that we will probably run down there, you're looking at about $185,000 in revenue. That just to answer that question someone had asked. Luckily, our new billing company will be, I think, able to parse those numbers out a lot better now that we have the means to do that. And I don't know, Jamie, if you've been able to see any improvements on how we separate what comes in from Windsor, what gets paid from down in that area. But that's my thoughts on it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the chief one more.
Yes.
Chief Dirk, is this contract with Windsor Ambulance District in the best interest of the citizens of Pettis County? Is this the best agreement we could have in place?
I think ultimately the answer to that question is the decision of this board. If you're asking my personal opinion, and that's all I can give you because I'm not an elected official, of course. I think it's the best thing we have right now. I think if it were to not exist, it's going to increase the call volume for our trucks that we have here in Sedalia. And we'll go up. We've already increased that since we've added trucks. They're already running 50 to 70 calls every 2 days. Not getting a lot of sleep when they're working these shifts. So I think it would burden our staff. It would burden them in those ways for sure. It would cut down on their ability to do their job. Those calls are going to come to us. Those calls are not going to get rammed. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I want to ask more specifically, what about the quality of the delivery of EMS services?
Well, I would argue we're the best EMS service in Central Missouri.
And this contract assures us that we have the best agreement in place to provide those very best services, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
With that contract not being in place, would we still not have the best services?
Well, we're gonna, with that contract not in place, we're gonna lose out on the revenue that they've agreed to pay us, okay?
Let's get the answer to that question first.
What's the question?
The question was, if we did not have that contract in place, would we not still have the quality of care? Or how is not having that contract going to affect the quality of care we're giving the citizens of Pettis County?
Response time. Ambulance in Windsor, for Windsor 911 call, gets to the call much quicker than if it comes from Sedalia. That's just logical. And as well as those ambulances respond in the south part of our county. So,
What's the question for the chief?
I'm sorry.
Thank you, John. I appreciate your answer.
Because we got
Just keep it to yourself, please. Let me listen to the man first.
Don't tell me what to do, sir. That is out of order. That comes from the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in looking at this, we're talking about ifs, ands, buts. You know, what's going to affect our service? I'm looking for the detriment to our service by canceling that contract. Because we're talking about how we're going to have to respond into Windsor and take up all those calls, but nobody's saying anything about what Windsor's going to provide.
Well,
They're going to have to provide something.
I think the chief already answered that. Financially, they're not in a position to provide anything.
And I don't think if anybody came to me with $300,000 and said I need to build an ambulance service, I'd go to the ditch. I mean, that's just not realistic. I couldn't pull that rabbit out of the hat.
Well,
And I can't speak for the Windsor board either.
And you're talking about that's what their annual income is, but regardless of what they have in the bank also.
I think that is what they have in the bank right now, roughly. That's what, am I correct in that, Steve? Or are you guys bringing in, you anticipate a total revenue for the district down there and all your sales tax and property tax that you collect from the 4 different counties coming out around 300,000? Is that, am I close on that?
Did you have a question?
yeah, but I kind of lost my train of thought there. But, you know, here's what I see.
Pretty easy to do.
Here's what I see. We did support this for 5 years, and we knew we had to, you know. But now they've passed the tax, and they're getting some of that. We're getting 85% of that back. Well, in my mind, if we was to cancel that thing, we're going to have to build a facility of some sort down in that area. And I look out here on TT, $1.3 million or whatever it was. We can't afford to do that, you know. I think we got the best of both worlds with them down there. We're helping them, and we're helping ourselves by not having to build another facility at this time. I mean,
I guess.
You've been here for a while, since it started, basically, right? So how did we service that before this agreement was made?
Prior to this agreement, Windsor Ambulance District functioned up until 2014. Am I correct in that, guys? If I get some of this wrong, I trust one of you will jump in on the date lines here. Their district basically folded. It was kind of unprecedented in the state of Missouri for a district to close up shop like that. It took about a year of negotiations and planning, and they had to form a completely new board. Their board dissipated, the whole thing just went kaput. They formed a board, which by and large, I believe is the current board today, minus maybe one person. And then contracted, they looked at Adjournment Valley, they looked at some of the, what I would call big box providers, which is American Medical Response, or AMR. They weren't able to find anybody who was realistically going to be able to cover it. I think they looked at Cold Camp as well. So we became their best and only option, basically. And I can't speak for anything prior to that because I wasn't on board meetings or privy to that information. But preceding board here made that deal with them that we would cover Windsor Ambulance District's calls. For the time, that interim that they did not have an ambulance, we ran calls down there as best we could. Depending on where that call landed, like I said, Windsor is an oddity because it does lie on 4 counties corners. So you've got Johnson County, Henry County, Benton County, and then of course Pettis County. The bulk of the calls come from the city of Windsor, just like they do here in Sedalia. They come from the urban center, and Pettis County would be covering those. The only other stations that are even close to there would be Warrensburg, which is equidistant to Sedalia. It's about 30-minute trip from there. Cole Camp, which runs pretty much 1 ambulance, as I understand it. Benton County has a station in Lincoln, which is about 20 minutes away, but they would likely not be able to respond. They only keep one to 2 trucks up at their Lincoln station. So PCAD is the only one who even came close to having those resources. And it's my concern, if I may just expand on that a little bit. I guess my biggest concern as a chief is not only losing staff, I would hate to do that, but to give up that supplemental income, to not be able to run those calls down there. Those transfers are not an insignificant number that we do pick up out of Golden Valley. We would probably not be picking those up anymore. They would probably be calling somebody else for those. But I guess my biggest thing is if it goes back to the Windsor Ambulance District, seeing what I've seen from their standpoint financially, and again, they're here with us tonight. I don't want to speak for them, so forgive me if I put this out there. I think from their standpoint, they really were counting on us, like Mr. Neiman said, to be able to provide that. If we are not able to provide it, they'll probably not be able to do it. They'll go back to the counties. Those counties will basically say it's now your job to run calls all the way to that corner of our district, which before our district, there was kind of an imaginary diagonal line just south of Green Ridge there. That would have been the pre-existing Windsor Ambulance District office. So in that area, basically it was a slapdash of whoever they could get to run calls. I know before we started running calls, they were waiting. I heard a horror story about once about an hour to get an ambulance over there on critical calls sometimes. So that's my concern is, number one, we'd still be.
We had,
I can hear you, Steve.
we had Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Are you there, Steve?
Yes. Eric is exactly right. He knows our story very well because we probably have told him that story many times. But we did have, when the district folded, the commissioners from the 4 counties appointed board members, knowing that, that is one of their responsibility is the health and well-being of the citizens in their counties. We did have 2 or 3 tragedies, couple involving small children. The people that responded to our calls was, as Eric said, primarily Pettis County. Cole Camp responded. Golden Valley, no. Golden Valley's CEO told us when we talked to them that they were not in the ambulance business and were not interested in providing a service to our community or our district at that time. So I know that, as you know, we roughly will collect about $300,000 annually on our taxes. if we were to even attempt to go back into business for ourselves, an ambulance would certainly swallow that up with nothing remaining for salaries or anything. So our board has discussed that if for whatever reason we were unable to contract services, that we would go to our county commissioners, and request that the district be dissolved.
We have a motion on the floor.
If I may,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I think that didn't make it because it didn't have a second. If I'm.
We never got far enough to ask for a second.
Very good, okay. Can I guess I'm not sure the terminology, but retract that motion because I'd like to do a different one.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Since it didn't
Then
have a
there's
second.
1 second.
Okay. I would like to say, first of all, Mr. Chairman, the term, I think Chief uses the term resources, that there's no other district that although there's 4 contiguous ambulance districts there, no other district apparently had the resources to provide an ambulance service. So my question would be, why would all of those resources need to come from the Pettis County ambulance district? When it sounds to me like, there are other districts that are not pulling their weight in this process. We have gone way above and beyond with that district. Again, by investing over $2 million over the last 5 years, and we're committing to another $500,000 over the next 5 years. So, and I can see that maybe some research needs to be done as far as Mr. Brown brings out, well, we might need a facility down there. We don't need a $1.3 million facility, but we might need a facility somewhere wherever the traffic counts dictates that we should have one out there. And maybe that needs a little bit more time to develop. And since the dates and the signatures were redacted from the original, our board packet information, and I, after reading through that, I concur that the datings was different there, which was not a part of our board packet. So I think I would like to make this motion, which is actually almost the same as the previous one, only extending it to where we would make it effective December 31st of 2022, which would give both districts 2 full years in order to put their plan together to properly serve, in our case, the patrons of the Pettis County Ambulance District, and let the Windsor Ambulance District take care of their patrons within their business. Okay? So my motion again is, since PCAD has invested $2 million in the Windsor Ambulance District over the last 5 years, and Pettis County Ambulance District is projected to lose another $500,000 over the next 5 years. And since the Windsor Ambulance District now has sufficient revenue to operate their own quality ambulance district, I move that we immediately send by certified mail a notice of termination to the Windsor Ambulance District effective December 31st, 2022. That's my motion, Chair.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll say.
Is there any further discussion?
Discussion, I have a comment. If I'm understanding Mr. Meehan correctly, he would be willing to take over the Pettis County portion of our district. We've researched that, and one of the issues is that the entire Windsor district would have to approve that, as well as the Pettis County Ambulance District. And I believe getting that passed in the Windsor Ambulance District would be next to zil. I'm not sure how Pettis County would do that, but both districts would have to approve the separation of the Pettis County portion to the Pettis County Ambulance District. The same is true for Johnson County and Henry County and Benton County. So that's a problem in itself.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, you know, this agreement with Windsor Ambulance District has been a part of my tenure here at the board. And I think everybody, with the exception of 2 new members, were a part of drafting this agreement. Eric did a lot of the work. And I just want to, I guess I just want to try to get this straight, is that we're going to move forward with letting them go out on their own, because we feel in our hearts as board members, the ones making the motion, after hearing testimony from our administrator, hearing testimony from that board, that they will not be able to function on their own without us. So with disregarding that information, I just think that I'd like to somehow amend that motion to be tabled for absolute being ridiculous. Ridiculous. He's using numbers in the motion that I don't even know where they came from. He's just reading them off some paper over there. He's been told about the actual figures of the law when it comes to serving in Windsor Ambulance District. This was put on this agenda and nothing was discussed with regard to the topic. He brought this out here, no notice.
There is a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion fails for lack of majority.
The vote was 3-3.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Move on to announcements. With Houston Bank, it was too late to be part of the proposal, but Mr. Boatwright would like to address the board. So we'd like to do that now.
Sure.
Are you there, Matt?
I am now. Thank you very much. I didn't have the ability to speak earlier because my mic was muted, but thank you, board, for even considering the option for banking services. Appreciate the efforts you do on behalf of the county. I apologize that my proposal was not at your district by 2 p.m. I would ask if the chairman would have a chance to distribute those, at least for your information purposes. I think it could be helpful. I think when Houston Bank is 146 years community partner, you would find to be an excellent asset for the board. And I just wanted to say thank you for your efforts in our community and your consideration for anyone that would provide the banking services. I did have a question, Nick. Were there only 2 proposals tonight for banking services? I had a hard time hearing, and I just wasn't sure during that part when you were talking about the banking services if there was obviously the proposal from Central Bank and Witten Houston, and then there was a letter or something from U.S. Bank, but maybe it was unclear what that was.
That wasn't regarding the bid proposal. There were just 2 bid proposals, Witten Houston and Central Bank.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And anyway, I appreciate it. And if you would be so kind to distribute the packets, at least to the board members, so they have an idea what kind of services we offer and the competitive nature that we can compete. I appreciate that too. And I understand you guys have made your decision tonight, and that's your choice. I respect that. But I wanted to at least have a chance to say thank you, and thank you for your consideration. And I made a human error this morning, and erred on the side of taking care of a human condition, and it forced me to be late to your meeting. or for the delivery of the package. I did call Jamie a little before 2 and told her I was coming, but I was not there on time. And those are the facts. So gentlemen, thank you for your consideration, and I would appreciate if you'd at least consider the distribution of those packets, and what you choose to do with them at that point, that's your decision. But thank you for your efforts on behalf of our board. I know everybody's struggling a little bit with maybe the use of technology and how we deploy this. Again, I did struggle a little bit with some of the sound, but I appreciate the opportunity to even be a part of this discussion tonight, and thank you for your efforts.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements? If not, I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So, Brad?
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Was it with the Houston packets passed out? You just not, okay.
I don't
Is somebody